Hey SEOs and content marketers, say goodbye to crazy spreadsheet mashups and experience unprecedented connectivity between your SEO planning and reporting data. Introducing Audience Key, technology for keyword mapping, content brief automation, and rank tracking that form an SEO strategy system providing unparalleled feedback loops between planning, reporting, and optimization activities. Put your time and energy into strategy, not data upkeep. Visit audiencekey.com and apply for a free trial today. Hey everyone, welcome to Webcology here on WMR.fm. It's officially the end of August 2023, August 31st, 2023. Summer is like so completely, totally over, except for the promise of summer we have for the next few months. This is Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media, Christine Chackinger from Sites Without Walls. Big shout out to Audience Key, our sponsor of Webcology. And big shout out to the audience who has a long weekend coming up awfully soon. This is it, folks. End of the line of summer 2023. Get out there and enjoy yourself. Christine, how you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, I didn't even realize it was a long weekend this weekend because I'm a consultant. My client's like, we have a long weekend this weekend. I'm like, oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, no,
So, yeah,
you have a long weekend this weekend.
yeah, I use long weekends as a chance to catch up so that they're all happy when they get back. So, yeah. So, yeah, I'm good. It's not end of summer here, even though by the date it is 95 degrees this morning at an hour ago when I checked. So I think it's going to be a hot one today. We have about 2 more months before you have to worry about cold weather. Our pools are open until November 1st. So.
Up here in the northeast of the Great Lakes region, it's warm actually. It's now officially room temperature, a nice 68 Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius. So that's good. I mean, like keeping it room temperature outside. But and it's going to be warm for a little while, certainly. Just no guarantee of it. And then one day it's just not going to be warm anymore. And that's the day that that eternity stares you in the face up from the void. Okay, we have really good news to start the week with. This is I love this story. In fact, it's one of my favorite stories of all time. Matt Cutts announced today that he and wife Lindsay had fraternal twins about 2 months ago.
Yes, so exciting. For those who don't know who Matt Cutts is, he used to be the former, what was his official title at Google?
He was the head of the spam division, spam catching division,
yeah.
chief spam fighter, bottle washer, and really the guy who, for SEOs, explained what Google was mostly looking to go after, but looking for.
Yeah. Oh, and there's always like a big warning shot, like this site got hit. You guys want to keep doing that? But he also moved on to the United States Digital Service after that, and then he left there a few years ago, I think. And I don't know what officially he's doing now, to be honest. Well, but it's exciting to hear because he was such an integral part of our community for so many years.
Matt went on to, I think, actually lead the U.S. Digital Service. He was.
He did, yeah. He was at quite the prestigious job there.
But he was also, I think, among the first 100 employees through the door at Google. Like Matt is way back in the day. So yeah. I think at this point in his career, Matt does whatever the hell he wants to do.
Probably. My understanding was, and I don't know, I can't verify this right now, but my understanding, I was told, was that Matt was the one who developed the algorithms to get rid of pharma, porn, and casino from the search results, and that gave them a leg up over Yahoo, was still having issues with that because of all the spam. So.
Well, again, for people who came into the industry after Matt retired from Google, Matt was the most genial spokesperson Google, I think, has ever had, and that's not to say that that John or Martin or Danny Sullivan aren't wonderful and genial people. They are. That's also not to say that Gary Ease isn't a wonderful, genial person. compared to Matt. I think I think even Gary would agree. Um, but Matt Cutts was a special dude.
He also, he should have given classes on how to handle a room of people. If
Yeah,
he'd be at a conference with his black book, for people who don't know about the black book, he would carry a black book and you could report somebody at a site that was, violating Google's terms of service. But he'd have a crowd around him and he could handle that crowd so adeptly and walk away and not have anyone follow him. It was amazing. He was so good at that. So yeah, so I'm glad to hear that he's got this new happiness in his life. That's fantastic.
yeah, yeah. So congratulations, Matt. That's a wonderful announcement. Okay, so I guess we got to talk about Twixter. X.
Your favorite topic.
I mean, I just such promise devolving into such just awfulness. But okay, so Elon Musk has a vision, and that vision is to take X, the social network formerly known as Twitter, and turn it into an everything application. It's going to be your bank. It's going to be your entertainment service. It's going to be your point of contact for everyone important in your life, etc. It's going to be the thing you do everything on. I think it's going to be the internet, in Elon Musk's eyes, and he's soon about to roll out audio and video calling feature on X. Um, I don't know if the story says when it's going to come
It
out.
doesn't. It's not a. There's no definite date, and it doesn't say what the controls on it will be. So just that we. He says in a tweet yesterday, I think it was, that it's coming out soon.
Okay.
So my
It's
favorite call.
also. Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead. No,
No,
go
no, no.
ahead. Go ahead.
Well, he's also jumping into LinkedIn territory, or is it Indeed territory? It's hard to tell the difference sometimes. With his new network feature called Hirings.
Yeah. Um. Before we get into all that, just so people know, on the audio and the video calling, it would come through your DMs, which, unless you can opt out of that, would make me shut down my Twitter account immediately. Because you don't curate your follows, that people that can message you on Twitter like you do LinkedIn or Facebook, right? So you imagine, like, I follow like 12,000 people. All 12,000 can now just call me. Some guy said, had a tweet today, said as soon as that comes out, my phone, and I got a call from Twitter, my phone would go into the ocean. It's like,
Now,
never touch it again. Can you
young,
imagine
well,
that?
actually, younger users might be surprised to learn of a handy device that their grandparents were aware of called the telephone book. And
Exactly.
in this
Exactly.
book, everybody's name, home address, and telephone number were listed. And when you go to another city, you could look up your own name to see how many people had your name and where they lived and what their phone numbers were. What you do with that information is your own damn business.
But 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 those
But you
devices
could
are
do
in your
that.
house on a wall, not with you everywhere you go and
Well,
sleeping with you in the middle of the night.
but
Imagine getting Twitter DM calls at 3 in the morning from somebody who's just like, I thought it'd be cool to say hi. Like, seriously. There has to be an opt out, but it does not say that there's an opt out yet.
I
So
understand that while Musk has is talking about blocking on
yeah.
Twixter, you can still block on DMs. That I think will still be available. So if you need to hang up on somebody and make sure they don't call back again, I think you'll be able to do that. But that's kind of
No.
um,
Just no.
concerning. But
Well,
is
especially
there?
as a female, it's very concerning that someone could, on Facebook, you could do it, but you have to allow them to do it and you can hide your number.
Well,
In this case, it's like, I can just pick up my Twitter and call you. I'm sure there's got to be some sort of restriction on
speaking of
opting out or something.
allowances, how does an application of everything get to do everything for you? Like, think of your cell phone. On your mobile device, you have allowed it to do any number of things. It can communicate with your bank, it can communicate with your online cloud email storage system, be it Gmail, Yahoo Mail, or whatever that is. It can check into your corporate mail system. It can interact with websites, do ordering for you, do e-commerce for you. There's 100 million things you give your phone permission to do, often requiring you to give microphone, video, or camera permissions.
Yes.
So if Twitter, Twixter, or X wants to be the Swiss Army knife of everything, it's going to have to be given a heck of a lot of allowances. And if you check out their new privacy policy,
Oh, yes.
you might
Oh,
see
yes.
what the heck they're trying to go for. Um,
Yeah. The
uh,
new privacy policy is very concerning.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
under the user information, one of the first sections, it gives you will give X the allowance to collect information on metadata related to encrypted messages. What does that mean? That means someone's trying to decrypt your messaging at X's end. Why? Well, I guess because they're going to
It's
have
just,
to. This is your
yeah.
if they're responsible for your banking information and all that stuff.
And it's your metadata. So it's not the data that's inside the message. It's the data that says what the message, who it went to, what time it was done. But there's a lot that can be learned from metadata.
Mhm.
So it's not innocuous that they're going to do your metadata, but it gets worse. It gets worse.
Well, again,
Um,
if they want to be your application of everything, that would probably mean communicating with your insurance company and your doctors, your dentists, etc. So they need all your biomeds.
I have biometric information for safety, security, and identification. So it's based on your consent, of course, but I'm sure there'll be things you can't use in the app if you don't give it. I don't even give my thumbprint to my phone. I'm not giving biometric information to Twitter, given how lax he is with safety and security to begin with. But it's just like it gets worse. So you think biometrics bad, right? Right? But it gets worse. They're going to collect your employment history, educational history, employment preferences, skills, abilities, job search activity, engagement, and so on. That's like, I mean, it's supposedly for the hiring that you talked about, that where the companies can
Mhm.
hire people. Oh gosh, no, 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 do not do you want to give that information over to just like some company? Like companies have a lot of ability to get information as it is, but you at least consent to how it's going to be used. This is basically, we may collect it, we may not, and we may do something with it, and we may not. And I don't know. What do you think, Jim? Because I think I would have to shut down Twitter at that point.
Well, how to say this? I think Twitter is again trying to be the internet itself. Now, I've already given all of these permissions to numerous different websites on a case by case basis. Um, in Canada, we have public health care. So I have a health portal that I can go to, and in that health
Yes,
portal, recorded on a government server somewhere in the bowels of Queens Park in downtown Toronto, is all of my information. The heart attack, the stent that was
but
put in there, when it was put in there, all that stuff is recorded, and I've given permission in that instance to use that for that specific application. Similarly, I talk to my bank very frequently online. In fact, so much so I don't even know what it looks like inside anymore. It's been a long time since I've been into my bank physically. That's a specific instance where I've given specific permissions. The difference here is X wants this whole metaverse of my life. Um, and that being in the hands of somebody who I already don't trust to begin with makes me very uncomfortable because I don't know. I know what the bank is going to do with my information long term. I know what the Ontario Ministry of Health is going to do with my information long term. Not a lot. The bank's going to try to sell me stuff, and the Ontario Ministry is going to try to track me and optimize the health system. I should hope that's what I'm paying them for. But I don't know what Musk is going to do with my information and what X is going to do with my information, and
yeah,
that annoys me.
well, I think it's troublesome because when you talk about a bank or you talk about a medical, and at least in the U.S., I'm sure it's the same there, probably even more so. There are strict regulations, there are oversight, there are people that come and audit you, there are things that you pay heavy fines or could lose your license for violating.
Mhm.
HIPAA laws are very strict, bank laws are very strict. So can the FBI get a warrant and look at your stuff? Sure. But can it just any company that collects data on you get that information? No. But with Twitter, anyone he decides to partner with, he could give that too. And they're also talking about training their AI on all this
Yeah.
data. So first of all, backing up a little bit, this is an app that doesn't need to exist because we already have WhatsApp,
Mhm.
Facebook. I mean, there's so many that already
No,
exist.
this is just a get in the middle of
Yeah,
stuff and profit sort of thing. Again,
yeah,
Musk is trying to be the internet.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But I'd be very concerned about one, just his views on privacy to begin with,
Sure.
how he's treated it at Twitter. We have literally Nazis on the platform now. He doesn't care. He actually encourages it. So I don't think I would trust my personal data, my financial data, on a company's app like that. Because I go to DEF CON every year, and I do not trust that they would take the protections necessary to make sure that nothing happened. They would just, he has a lot of money, so just figures he'll pay the fine. That's how he always does it anyway, right? I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I assume because that's what he usually does.
Okay.
So I just think it's very dangerous for this kind of privacy policy, and then training AI on it, and that also means your audio data,
Yeah.
your messaging data,
Yep.
your video data. Yeah.
Who
So
knows?
no,
Who knows where
no.
that goes? Okay, really quickly. I don't want to spend very much more time on Twixter, but they're going to be allowing political advertising again. They've had banned political ads in 2019, but moving into 2024, I guess there's just too much money to be resisted, and there may well be some, political slants that they're trying to pursue. Also, if there is money to pursue in political advertising, they'll probably need it, given that they're facing 2,200 arbitration cases, uh, got filing fees sitting in the 3 million range. Sometimes it's just court fees. Um, because on the way through the front door, Musk and his new ownership team, well, sort of took a flamethrower to the to the
Whole company.
well, not to the company, but to the severance packages of all the
Yes.
people
Yeah.
that they laid off, to vestiges agreements for people who had received parts of their payment in shares of the company rather than in cash at the time when Twitter was just starting up. Um, and all of that got torched with the new management group, and because many people had done a whole bunch of financial planning around agreements they made with a company that seemed so solid that a bunch of lawyers had signed off on it. When agreements like this get broken, you go to court, and that's what's
Yeah.
happening. And court's expensive, so I expect to see a whole bunch of cash grabbing from the app formerly known as Twitter, because they're going to need it badly.
Yeah, and so people know also in the state of California there are laws around severance.
Yep.
So and if you don't give some like I believe it's 90-day notice on the termination, so there are actually the state laws that have been violated too, not just like worker agreements,
Oh,
like
indeed.
contracts and stuff. So he's going to have a pretty hard time in court with this because of that. But it's been pretty awful what he's done to the employees. So.
Okay, I think the biggest news in search this week, um, and we'll see how this pans out, whether it turns out to be good news or not, is Google's made the announcement. The search generative experience is going to have links. I think they announced just yesterday that after going through a number of different forms, three different formats, they've settled on drop down buttons. So you click a drop down button, it's going to sort of bring up a web page as a sort of like a card that appears underneath the drop down button representing the link. And this is how Google's going to move you from text to a page that I'm guessing they either drew the text from or best represents the text that is
Best
displayed on the
represents.
screen.
It's not,
Well, you
yeah.
know what? It depends. Honest to goodness, Christine, it depends on the spokesperson who's talking to you. I think some people are going to say straight up, this comes from that page, and some people are going to say best represents. I think best represents is probably the.
It's an LLM model. It's not unless it's yeah, they could say like here's 20 search results summarized, but they don't have like, oh, I got this from X page. It just doesn't work that way. But they have side processes that pull up things and they ground them in certain search results. So, and Google's being really mum on how they like Bing has told us exactly how they do it. They're being pretty mum on how they exactly do it. But these are just basically search cards in there. The truth is, though, I don't think this is going to help anybody, to be honest. Someone's reading this and conversing with it. They don't care about the links in the middle. We'll see what happens, but this is my personal opinion. I still don't believe SG should be in search because it's not a search, and it still gives wrong information, and it still um, is killing the sites below it. So Google's using all the sites below it to this box to train, and then they're limiting anybody getting clicks. I have a whole problem with that. So, but yes, SG is going to do this. They may have multiple rows of these little cards in there. The cards aren't very readable. They don't entice you to click. I just don't think they're going to really help a whole lot, but we'll see. People will do in our industry will do tons of studies on it, and we'll see what happens. But what do you think?
Um, I think we'll see what comes up. I don't know if this is going to be helpful for searchers or not. I do know that it's that SGE has been around for a month and a half, 2 months now, and there's been some pretty heavy feedback today in Search Engine Roundtable. Barry quotes Senior Director of Product Management at Google Search, Hima Baduraju. Um, some of the stuff that Hima has been, some of the feedback Hima and his team have been receiving. And this is again, this is from Google. People are having a positive experience. They're using SGE for help with more complex queries and entirely new types of questions. The highest satisfaction comes from younger users, 18 to 24. They enjoy being able to ask follow-up questions conversationally. People find suggested follow-up questions beneficial to see examples of how to refine search. People are asking longer and more controversial questions. I'm sorry, more conversational questions. I would say, how do they have controversial? Conversational questions. They're asking questions in full sentences. So think about how people are interacting with Google now that they're able to talk to it. Okay, um, and get this conversation like experience back from it. Overall, Google's seeing people try queries that they never may have thought they could search before. They're pairing ideas together that I guess they hadn't tried before. Because mostly a search is like 2, 3 words describing the thing you're looking
Yes,
for.
because it's a search. This
But
is
we
not
talk we
search.
talk in concept. We
Right.
tend to
Yeah.
talk not as much in specifics, but in going to this place, and this place has a whole bunch of things. Google being able to ascertain that this place has all these things. Um, so yeah, that's kind of neat. Um,
I'd be
Google
fine if they put this under a different tab, but the fact they put it in the main results, I have so many issues with it. And so I'm trying to be objective, but it's very hard because it's not search. It gives back
Google
wrong information and it's killing sites that they actually train on. So
Google. Well, we'll see. Again, we'll see. I suggest it might, but we'll see if it actually does. Um,
right now, the one now is
Google
how many
said
sites
people
are.
are finding ads around AI powered overviews helpful. I don't know why they wouldn't say that. Um,
Yeah,
and apparently, people like that they can easily scroll and access a broad range of sources on the web in addition to what they see in the AI powered snapshot. So people appreciate all the stuff that they used to have as well as the AI stuff. um,
yeah.
so I don't have access to SGE up here in
I
Canada yet.
do. Yeah, I
Well,
do.
I got to fake it using a proxy, or I got to go over to Bing, which not Google's SGE, but gives me full access to AI because Bing is making a big deal about not playing political games with access this week. I don't know why they're making a big deal of it in Canada, but they're making a big deal of that in Canada these days. um, anyway, people are liking this. Whether it's actually helping them or not, I suggest it must be, or they wouldn't be liking it. Um,
Yeah, but we have to remember the survey goes to people that are using SGE and not to everybody. So
well,
I would like to see Google's methodology here because if you're surveying people that are already using it and regularly enough to get a survey from you, then they're going to say that they like it. So I talk to my clients and my clients find it really annoying. So I think they need a better study
well,
or someone needs to do an independent study to find out what people really think.
I'm
But
gonna
I'm sure some
suggest
people really like it. I'm sure they do.
I'm gonna say what I almost always say when something new comes along in search. If it's helpful to the users are going to use it. If it's not helpful to them, they won't use it. At the beginning, I'm certain they'll be very interested in it. Just like we saw Bing get this like massive bump just because it had ChatGPT attached to it. And as it turns out, while Bing users appreciate ChatGPT, they still don't appreciate Bing as much as they might. And Bing didn't
True,
get the massive bump
true.
that they
Yeah,
expected to
no
get
bump,
from it.
no bump.
So again, I don't know how this is going to work out. Um, I see amazing things that can come from incorporating AI with search, but the output, as you say, Christine, isn't necessarily information retrieval as I'm entirely comfortable with it. I like things that are empirically verified. I don't like mashups of information. Um, but
Like I
I,
said,
you
I'd
know
be
what?
fine if they separated it and put it on a separate tab and called it AI or something. But also, I mean, think about anybody whose site is in those search results. They'll never be seen again. Already having that problem. I see people talking about it right now with traffic being down for them. And there are people whose whole livelihoods depend on that. And
No,
Google is a $1 trillion company that could do this in a better way, that it wouldn't destroy the sites that they've also used to put their ads around and make all their money. So I just have a really big personal issue with it because it's not search, it's not accurate a lot of the time. These little cards they're putting in there are not going to bring the traffic that a search result brings. And I think it should be separate. I don't think it should be there at all. But that's just my personal opinion, and people are fully entitled to disagree with me
I
on
think
that.
I think this is like Seattle 2006 or something, and I'm having this furious debate with Aaron Wall. Um, and I'm talking about an ecosystem that we're trying to build about information and the relevance of information. And Aaron's like, I don't have any allegiance to Google or anything. I got allegiance to my customers. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's
we were
it.
both right.
Yeah.
Um, I had my point of view about like, this whole mission now we're on and keeping things pure. And Aaron was just like, look, that's not what I'm getting paid for. I'm getting paid to get my customers' attention. That's what we're getting paid for. Again,
Also, I
we're
care about
both
my
right.
customers. I care about my customers. I have a customer who's weirdly down, and we're trying to figure out what's wrong, right? And he sports himself and his disabled wife on the one site. So
Well,
now, if that one site appears underneath these SGE results everywhere, now right now it doesn't. What happens to the traffic? Traffic disappears. I mean, it's just going to go away because
and
they're going to put four ads on the tab,
by
four
argument,
ads on the.
what happens if his site appears in those SGE results?
I don't think it's going to really help all that much. I really don't. You're reading something. Like when you read a web page, do you want to click the ad in the middle of what you're reading? Probably not most of the time.
Not necessarily, but if I'm really, really, really interested in a source of information and whether that can be relied on or not from how Google's gonna draw the cards up. If it takes me to a page where I can, I don't know, complete my purchase or get what I'm interested in, get the information I'm interested in, then I will probably click it. Um, again, I grew up in an environment where you had to go to libraries and chase information down like
Sure.
long threads. So
It,
clicking to see something I'm interested in isn't a big deal.
well, no, but it's just the cards are not interesting. They don't, if from someone who does usability and conversions,
But
those
again, if
cards don't entice any click at
I
all. They
can't
just don't
buy
entice it.
anything out of the generated stream, the SGE stream. I can't buy nothing out of there, but I can buy something on the client website. That's what I'm going there for. And okay, my opinion on this may be a bit biased in that I tend to live in the ecom B2B world. So if anyone who is interested in my client stuff, I do have a couple B2C clients, but mostly it's B2B stuff. But anyone who's interested in my client stuff, if it comes up in the CGE, they're looking to purchase a piece of industrial equipment or a piece of hardware or something. Um, so they have to go to my client or
They don't
the
have to do it.
or the competitor or whatever.
They don't have to at all.
Yes, they do. They're
You're
looking
going
to
to
buy.
put,
Yes, they do. They have to buy something. They need to complete a business function. That's why they're at.
right,
That's why they're at my client's website. There's
right.
no other
But they
reason to
don't
be there.
necessarily, they don't have to do it from a search box that's generating text that
No,
puts little cards in there that barely are readable.
no, but they do. But now that they've found reference to the client site, they're going to get there. That's the point. That's the point. Otherwise, at least in the world that I'm working in, why are they conducting the search in the first place?
We can was this is we can table it because we don't have data right now. But I'm going to take a bet that if your client starts showing up, and that box starts showing up above your client site, and they're in the box, you're going to at least see a 25 to 50% traffic drop. Now I might be wrong. We don't have data yet, but I think
Um,
that's what's going to happen.
And again, I think that comes down to why people are using various websites. And if you're referenced in, I'm going to say the opposite. I was going to say if your references will be like a one box. If you get a link in there, you were the most visible thing in the search result. Boom, you got
Yeah.
traffic. We'll see.
We'll circle back when the research comes out. I'll bet you a Canadian beer on it that it's not going to go up for most people. 90% of people will not go up. So,
Um,
but we'll see. We'll see.
okay, some of the obvious stuff that we do have empirical data on about Google. Number one, um, titles on pages are incredibly powerful, and they're still incredibly powerful. In fact, 85% of titles feature keywords in position 1 to 5 of Google. Um, so if you know 80%, 85% of the pages in position 1 to 5 of Google search results have title tags that feature keyword targets. Um, I don't know where this argument is coming from or why it's up right now, but titles and meta descriptions do make a difference in how well the title and how sites rank, and certainly the meta description and how sites get and how users decide to click on a site.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were still going. I apologize.
Oh no, that was that.
uh,
That was my
yeah,
throw to you.
yeah. No, I mean, obviously titles and the keywords and net titles, keywords and titles matter. So, and they matter for click-through rate. That's why I tell people on important content, don't let AI write your titles and metas. You want to have a human write them to entice the click. So,
Yeah, you should think of your meta descriptions as marketing text. It's not going to
yeah.
have any influence over your ranking specifically, but given that the meta description tends to form the descriptive paragraph found underneath the anchor text, which is often your title, in Google search results or Bing search results, that's the first information off of any given page that the search engine user sees after seeing the title. So this is what is making them decide to click or not click. Your description over your competitor's description. If your competitor's description is more compelling, they're probably getting the click. Um, as Christine said, you probably don't want a machine phrasing this text for you. Although I gotta tell you, Christine, I'm going to do exactly that because I have this one site that has thousands of pages. This is a newbie, thousands of pages that without uh, unique meta descriptions, and I ain't reading them.
Yeah, well, no, I think it's fine to do it for that, but I just anything that's important, you want to make sure that you're handwriting their titles and metas. Also, because the metas, as Jim said, have no ranking factor. They do come up with featured snippets. That is part of how they pull a featured snippet. So you want to make sure it's well written so that you become one of the ones that they might pull. There's other things in the featured snippet, of course, but it is one of the things that they check to determine consensus among ideas, and they only use that in feature snippets, nowhere else. But yeah,
Um,
so it's important. But
yeah,
yeah,
and
I would
again,
do for thousands of them. I would definitely have AI write them.
now
That's
I
usually a blog that someone forgot to do anything on.
now I can guarantee you, as I'm going to guarantee the client, that I will read um, well, almost every one of those descriptions. So I'm going to try to read all of them. I really will. And I will make corrections to a few of them too, because that's going to happen. But I don't want to, there's no way a human can write that many. And that's one of the things that AI is going to be used for, hopefully positively, is satisfying the new scales of e-commerce and the web. Um, but if it's writing your actual core content, you're you're probably denying yourself great opportunities.
Well, if it's writing your core content, I still maintain that the helpful content update is meant to try to eliminate that content.
Well,
And
and then
John kind of reinforced that in a post we talked about last week, where he told people they were starting from behind, that it was an anchor weighing them down, and then he kind of cited most of the things in the HCU that would apply to AI content without saying it was from the HCU.
Well,
So I
and then
really,
Danny Sullivan jumped on that bandwagon as well, coming out saying, "Look, this is regurgitated content. We can't look at it any other way because it's by nature regurgitated
yeah.
content."
And a lot of people argue and they'll go, but I put in my own training, and I'm like, but is that a publicly available information? Because then it's still regurgitated content. You
It's
just
just
added new
slightly differently
training. Yeah,
regurgitated.
you just added new training. And it's not like, it's not like if you came up with a new thought and put that in, maybe, but it's still training and it's still the same content that's seen a million times. And seriously, I beg everybody to go read the helpful content update. If you don't have to believe me, you can see it has words in there like originality. You can't be original if it's AI because it's regurgitated, things like that. So people should start looking at those and seeing what Danny and John are saying, because I'm pretty sure they're linking it together.
Okay, you
Um,
know what?
yeah.
I could put 3 points together in this segue. Speaking of Danny Sullivan, really, really stupid content and stuff that all of us have seen way too often. How many times have you received the plea from some link build scheme based on article spamming in X number of publications? Somebody sent Danny Sullivan on his search liaison Twixter, X, the social network formerly known as Twitter, on his search liaison account there. He sent him one of the classics. We got places for you to spam the hell out of, and then as these letters tend to, bragged about many of the places they spam the hell out of.
Yes, yeah. I don't understand why these people don't scrub google.com out of their email list. Like,
Yeah, in this case, um,
it came in email. I don't know which email, but it came in email.
yeah, in
But
this case, the person who it was sent to was not as annoyed to see it as you might think.
no, I was just like, oh, great. Because I get at least 5 of these a day. It's so annoying. But yeah, it's just funny. It's like, okay, you got a big list, spam list. Go through and scrub out at google.com. Like, really, that would be like the first thing I would do. So it's just funny that they send these because this regularly happens, that spammers are selling spam products, send them to Google and Google people. And then they wonder why all their stuff died. Well, as soon as a Google person saw it, they pretty much killed your business. So
Okay, so I guess this makes sense from Google's point of view. Illegal content is not always spam. It could be illegal content, but it's not necessarily spammy content. Um, Illegal content is not usually a smart place where people will be building links to manipulate Google. So Google will probably not view it as spam. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, because the spam is a SEO term in this case for violating certain policies Google has around manipulating search.
well,
So it
and
does make sense. Yeah,
chances are someone's not using a page of stolen goods or of depictions of children in sexual, sexual exploitation of children. They're not using links from those pages to manipulate Google.
exactly.
So Google won't necessarily see those pages as spam, although it might be disgusted or uh, completely offended by them as anybody else would be. They're still not necessarily spam.
Well, and we should say that we're talking about the SEO division, search engine division, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
about ranking pages on the web. There are divisions in Google that address, you know, illegal activities online, and they would address it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to be, you can't report it as spam, and Google's going to just take it down as spam because it's not their area, right? It's not violating the TOS. Unless someone manually reviews it, they won't know what it's doing. So it makes sense, hopefully that gets reported out immediately to the other divisions that do take care of that stuff.
Okay. So I think that's most of our Google stuff. Most of our Google stuff that's not AI related. Here's a fun one. You have, you don't have this problem. Oh my goodness, because you use Mac. You're in the whole OS environment, right?
Yes,
So
I don't like Windows.
okay, you don't have this problem. But if you do use Windows, you have um you have the problem with well, their Microsoft has continually been behind the ball on the browser. Um, Everyone's made the Explorer jokes, Internet Explorer. That was a while ago. Now they have Edge, and Edge is built on the Chromium kernel, so it's built like a Chrome browser, as every smart browser will be, except to compete with Chrome, which Google has, as much as Google can, tried to strip down to make it fast and lethe, which it's not. Um, to compete with Chrome, Microsoft decided to give Edge features, lots and lots and lots of features beyond what you might think. Um, like I can look up stock prices and I can look up weather and I can look up news stories. I can do a whole bunch of stuff just at the click of a mouse button on my resource tray in my Windows 11 environment. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that I would be able to do, but didn't even know I could do. That Microsoft is about to depreciate: Math Solver, Pictionary, Picture Dictionary, citations. Didn't know we could do that. Grammar tools, kids modes. Um, Apparently, there's a number of features in Microsoft Edge that are about to be depreciated. Um, and many of which users didn't even know they had. And all I could think of was, you remember those razor blade commercials where, one razor blade company had 5 blades, the next one had to have six, and
Yes.
so on and so on. Well, Google made a simple one that had two razor blades, and Microsoft made one that had like 25. And apparently, 25 razor blades just isn't doing it for them.
I have an old SNL spoof on that. And just like added more and more and more blades until like
Yep.
they took off someone's face.
Well, and this is again, Microsoft has again had to cut back into just to spite their public face.
By the way, Microsoft is also being a little dirty
Well,
lately.
okay. No, again, you're not a Microsoft user. I see your little side note here is dirty Miracosoft. And the thing is, if you
Yeah,
were a Microsoft user, you'd be used to this kind of shenanigans.
I know, right?
It's like
I'm not for
you just
definite reasons.
you just raise your eyebrow and go, "Oh, they're doing that again." Well, okay, that's Microsoft. Okay, so yeah, they have pop-ups that are
Malware like pop-ups.
that are trying to push people into ditch Google for Bing. They're also trying to they have pop-ups and really clever like top level information bars that make you confirm that you want to continue using your current product. If you hit the wrong button, you're going to get switched to Edge as the default, whether you like it or not.
But also, it's not in the normal notification system. So the reason that they say it's like a malware is because it's a rogue executable file that
Mhm.
appears on your C drive digitally signed by Microsoft.
Yep.
So it's like not only is it like a little dirty, but it's like really dirty because it's like downloading an executable on your computer. Now it's not going to hurt you because it's Microsoft, but still, you're not really supposed to do that. Like just download stuff on people's computers.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they said that they're going to pull back on that on
Well,
that.
like I said, if you were a regular Windows user, you'd just be used to these shenanigans because this is
Yeah,
Microsoft, and they don't. See, have you ever wondered why Microsoft has the reputation they've got? Because I mean, like they don't seem like such bad people when you meet them. They're Microsofties, but then they start doing stuff, and you're just like, oh my god, you guys are worse than Apple.
yeah, yeah. Apple actually tries to be on the privacy side and not to like interject into your system. So I also just don't like how Windows works. But I was a Windows user at one time. I was, but not for a very long time. So so I don't have to deal with stuff like that. That is very true.
Okay, speaking of Bing and Microsoft, I mentioned this one earlier. If you are using AI or other enhanced features in Google, that means you're not living in certain countries, certain parts of the EU, Canada, but you can in Bing because according to Bing CEO Mikhail Paharikan, um, Bing doesn't. All countries are the same. Bing, they release stuff at the same time in all places. Bing doesn't discriminate. Google is currently for legal and privacy reasons, Canadians and certain countries in the European Union don't have access to expanded search features such as CGE because Google just doesn't want to deal with the court.
Yeah, well,
That's what it
also
comes
they're
down
much.
to.
You have to give fairness. They're much larger, so they have a bigger chance of having issues. Also, um, with just lost my train of thought. Oh my gosh.
Well, they don't care about. Well, I'm saying they don't care about you guys. Um,
Yeah. Oh, I like the
the
word.
AI things can run roughshod over all of your privacies, but up here in Canada and in Europe, Google suddenly cares. I don't think so much.
Yeah, well, and we don't have real privacy laws. It's part of the thing, I think. Also, I love that they use the word discriminate. There's no way that was chosen by accident.
Oh
So I think
goodness,
that's
no!
good.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, no!
yeah. I probably went like through 30 lawyers before it was used.
Can
So
we
it's
actually
interesting
say
choice of
this? Oh God, yeah, say it. Go ahead, say
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's an interesting choice of words. So yeah, so it's yeah, interesting.
So this one's kind of neat. Um, Baidu has released its own. Baidu has released its own chatbot called Ernie.
Yeah, which is interesting because Ernie has actually been around as long as actually I think it's pre-BERT, which is the large language models that Google was started to break all this open. I did actually a talk on I think it was 2018 called "On Our Way to Sesame Street," and I had a slide on Ernie. So
But you didn't know about Baidu's Ernie at the time. You know that.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, I mean Ernie was Baidu and Chinese research. So yeah, yeah, it was, but it wasn't this. It wasn't like a ChatGPT style thing. It was a language model like BERT, where they were doing the masking of the word and made everything easier to do and process faster and cheaper. So, but it is interesting now they've used that and turned it into a ChatGPT style.
China is pushing ahead quite strongly with AI innovation. Hoping to see this as an equalizer with American tech firms. Uh,
The thing is,
Baidu's
go ahead.
CEO, I'm trying to find her full name. Baidu CEO described China's regulations as more pro innovation than about regulation. And this has earned Baidu a what, a 3% bump in on Chinese markets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's available outside of China. I think it is though, but I'd be very careful as someone outside using it because I know they use that to train what you put in there. So yeah, so be a little
Um,
careful of that. But I don't know where it's available yet. I haven't seen the list of countries.
well, this is going to be a difficult debate for website owners, content creators, podcast hosts, um, anybody who is putting information on the web to be open or not open to having your content used to train large language models. About 10% of the top 1,000 websites in the world are blocking access to GPT bots, um, as much as they can. Amazon.com, WikiHow, Quora, Shutterstock have all um, shut themselves off to AI. Um, Allowing AI to train on your works or works that you host, again, makes them open to whatever becomes of these large language models. But at the same time, it kind of strips down the originality of the content. And in many cases, such as it's with Shutterstock or Quora or WikiHow, this is user generated content. So who knows who has what right to which? So it's going to be a
Yeah,
lot of questions, eh?
there is. And just to throw in there too, they upheld the idea legally that there is no copyright on AI content at the moment, AI imagery, AI content. When you create it, you have no copyright on it. Anyone can copy and paste it, use it anywhere. Yeah, but it's a hard question. Like my client's a new site and it says, should I block it? And I'm thinking, I can't think of any reason you shouldn't because it's training data. A lot of people again still mistake it with search and think, well, if it's not able to access your site, then you won't come up. But you're not. It's it's not accessing you like a search engine. It's accessing you to just train itself to write content. So do you want it to train on your stuff? Maybe not. And what is the right answer? I don't know. I'm hoping one of our AI people that are going to come on in a few weeks will be able to answer these questions for us because I don't know any reason that they shouldn't block it. I mean, do you know any
Well,
reason? Unless you had like some weird
yeah.
niche product that no one's ever heard of. But
My reason for you shouldn't block it, and this is in I would treat everything as a individual case scenario. So this thinking might not apply to every site in my stable of clients, but to most of them, it probably would. And I would say be open to it. The reason is fear of missing out. I don't know where AI is going a year from now, 2 years from now, or 3 years from now. In a very short time, AI may well be able to remember exactly where it read that sentence and why. It can't today. It can't do it. It can't do it today with 100% with the 99.999% accuracy that I think we would require for verifiable information. But I don't know what it's going to be like 5 years from now. And so if my clients don't have their information in these systems, I'm terrified they'll be missing out on something really important later.
you
Today,
know,
I don't know. If I had a newspaper, absolutely not. If I was publishing people's original literature, original short stories, God no. People's images. Like if I had if I was the webmaster at DeviantArt, absolutely not. Um, but for some of my e-commerce clients. Sure. I don't see why not. It won't, I don't think it'll hurt them
Yeah, I just don't know yet. I since it doesn't have recall of where it's been and no
today.
knowledge of. Yeah, but I also don't know that it ever will, but we'll see. But if it decided to, then you could just take the tags off your site, So, um, the but I don't know that there's a negative to it either. I think we need more information, and we need it from people who are experts in those areas. I don't think Google's going to tell us because they want to train, right? But at the rate that people are blocking these sites, the crawlers for
Mhm.
the training, pretty soon large language models are going to have a problem because they won't have data to train on. So they're going to maybe have to create a remuneration process or something, right? Because we have how many of the Fortune 500 right now are blocking it?
Well,
Like,
10 of the top 1,000 websites in the world.
yeah.
10%. So we'd say, 100 out of 1,000.
Yeah, so and they say it's going to increase 5% every week, they believe.
Well,
So by the time we come around this time next year, it might be most of the top 1,000 have blocked it.
if I was a writer in the New York Times, I would not, absolutely not, want my words mashed with the opinion writers of the LA Times.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I respect their opinions, but this one's mine. You
Hmm.
know,
And also training on your writing style, right? So they're not going to pull back and go, Jim's wrote this, so we're going to write it like Jim. But if you have enough documents out there, if you've written enough articles, if your style could show up,
for
or
Christ's
someone could
sake.
say in the style of this author, and then have them do that. You're not going to do it off a couple documents, but if you're a
I don't
prolific
even know how to write like
journalist,
Jim anymore.
but if you're like Barry Schwartz in our industry, he's written thousands and thousands of articles. So it definitely could, train on that and then repeat his style. So, in fact, right now on Amazon, that's happening. The authors are finding books trained
That's
on
right. I
their,
read about that.
yeah, trained on their style, and then someone's writing the book and publishing it on Amazon with their name on it, like they wrote it, and making money. So
That's a fairly elaborate deepfake scam, isn't it?
it is.
There's a bunch of them actually that are happening now. AI is been in public hands for just about a year now. And well, people are very creative, both positively and negatively. Last week, NBC News viewed a bunch of videos, 50 videos posted to sites featuring computer manipulated images. Bunch of them, Elon Musk, CBS anchor Gail King, uh, vidcast host Tucker Carlson, HBO host Bill Maher. Um, all of these people had their video images deep faked and were used to try to support a claim that Elon Musk had invented a technologically advanced investment platform that he was calling X.
I saw those ads actually. It's
Okay, well, they
interesting.
were fake. They were
Yeah.
total deep fakes.
Yeah.
But you know
Yeah.
what? People fell for them.
They do. They do. It's hard. I mean, if you and I work in this stuff all day long, and occasionally we still fall for stuff. I can't imagine the regular person who has no idea all this stuff is going on. And they see like Elon Musk in his face, and he's talking just like him, and he looks like him, and he's saying things like him. And so are these other people supporting him, although none of those people actually agreed to any of that, nor did they film themselves saying those things. And we have to be really careful going into
Here's a
any.
terrifying one for you for all consumers out there. Voice activation or voice authentication is an important part of two-factor authentication, right? I
Mhm.
heard of a scam recently where the scam caller is going to ask you a question that'll prompt you to give a yes or no answer. They want you to say yes. They don't care that you say yes, except they want a recording of your voice saying yes. So they can use that to, 2FA your voice saying yes.
Yeah, yeah, and
That's
they've already
terrifying. That's
they've
like, how
already
do
had
you avoid that?
well, they've already had ones that mimic somebody's voice, like we do a show, they can mimic our voice, and they call their families and tell them they are being kidnapped and that they need money sent immediately. So there's all sorts of scams. I think the problem is that when we have dangerous tech that can be dangerous, not tech's not dangerous inherently most of the time, but it can be used that way. We usually have a lot of regulations and laws around it, a lot of gatekeeping friction to make sure that not just anybody can use it. Problem is all these tools are out there for anybody to use. Fake voicing, fake imaging, faking who you are in a video, faking your writing, faking your photos. So right now, someone could create a complete you, and it would look and sound like you, and it would have your voice, and it would say things that you said, and it wouldn't be you. Now imagine on a nation state scale what that could be done with too, right? So I think it's unfortunate that all this stuff was allowed to come out on a commercial market with no regulations, because now some guy in his basement could have all these tools and just become like a really dangerous player in the world. Oh, so it's a conundrum
Um,
because the horse is already out of the barn.
Weirdly
There's no way
enough,
to claw it
we
back.
saw a couple of kids in Macedonia do just that with the
Yeah,
beginning of the fake news revolution.
we did. All the fake news started, so people know, didn't start as a political thing. It was a bunch of affiliate marketers in different countries who found out they could make money by selling fake news.
Yep,
And that's how it started. They just got a lot of visits to their websites with the fake news about political things.
SEOs
And
ruined everything.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it became nation state stuff. But at the first time, it was just affiliate marketers.
Last story. We got time for one more, and this actually I think is kind of an important one, and we'll see where this goes. Um, so younger computer users, generally the Generation Z or even the millennials, are turning to other sources for information. TikTok is a good source, or Reddit is a source people go to for information. And Reddit, knowing that they're becoming, I mean, Reddit calls themselves the front page of the internet for good reason. They have a user interest thread for pretty much every user interest under the sun. And now they're going to be creating an AI powered keyword research tool to burn through all of the posts and all of the comments to posts, figure out the language and the topical language in the post. And then if you're familiar with Twitter comments, the comments don't necessarily follow the topic of the post. They follow whatever smart ass direction the commenters at Reddit felt like going in that comment thread. So you could have a thread in appreciation of the New York Yankees, and it end up being a Boston Red Sox fan thread because that's where the conversation went. Reddit's AI powered keyword research tool is going to find ways to, match up um, advertisements with the changing nature of text as comments unfold, or um, as it goes from post topic to, again, to wherever the comments go. This is infinitely more powerful than the offerings that Google or the Yahoo network have when it comes to placing ads, to doing contextual placement for ads. And it may give Reddit a massive leg up looking at other ad models moving into the future. Like, how Yahoo got paid ads. Then Google took that concept from. Actually, Yahoo bought that concept off Inktomi. Google looked at the concept and sort of stole it from Yahoo and then refined it into AdWords/AdSense. This is another one of those moments where Reddit's come out with something that is probably more powerful than the previous model. This is going to be really neat.
Yeah, it'd also be interesting to see with Google, because the way people search Reddit right now is by Google. They do a Google search and add Reddit on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see, because right now they get like 40% of their traffic from organic search because of that. So it'll just be interesting to see how it shifts. I don't know if Reddit is so significant for Google's traffic levels, but
Well,
it is
and,
a lot of searches that might suddenly not be on Google anymore. So it'd be interesting.
and again, this is about placing ads, contextual ads in with
Yeah.
content. Reddit is about to go public, or they're trying really hard to set themselves up to go public, which is kind of scary because I love Reddit. And when places go public, it tends to go weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is probably a really good thing for them. They're This is a better mousetrap sitting on top of a proven revenue model. And if they can cut out Google, like Google takes its 50%, or whatever their ad share is. If they can cut Google out of that equation, they get all Google's money as
Yeah.
well as their own
Exactly.
money. And this is what
Exactly.
made Google rich.
I'm curious how Reddit users respond to it, because sort of like Instagram, when Instagram, changed and was no longer pure, it angered a lot of the users. So I don't know if the users are bothered by this, but it would be
Reddit
interesting to see their
users
take.
just went through a massive rebellion over
Yes.
the limitation of third-party software. And as it turns out, user numbers are higher today than they were 2 months ago.
Well, that's
So,
good. Yeah.
how
So that's
will
good.
how will Reddit users react? They'll scream and yell and gnash their teeth. Sure, but they'll go on using Reddit and probably appreciate or not appreciate the efforts Reddit goes to monetize itself. Um, but they probably won't even notice. I mean, but again, they'll scream and gnash their teeth because that's what we do. So whenever Facebook makes a change, we all freak out because it's so horrible, and then 3 months later, we're totally used to it, right?
Yeah, it's sad how quickly we're able to get used to horrible.
Well, humans adapt.
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Yes, we do.
we have gone over time. Our studio guys are going to have to adapt and get sleeping bags or something. Um, and thank you to the studio guys for being so adaptable. On behalf of Christian Schackinger from Sites Without Walls, this is Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media. You've been listening to Webcology on WMR.FM on the 31st of August, 2023. Tomorrow is the 1st of September. Monday is Labor Day. This is it. This is the last weekend. Get out there and absolutely enjoy it. Rank well, be kind to each other, be safe, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, everybody.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and hosts and do not necessarily reflect those of WebmasterRadio.fm's management or sponsors. Any rebroadcast or redistribution without authorized consent of WebmasterRadio.fm is prohibited.